Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. I'm gonna rush through this a little bit because it's Saturday. I'm not supposed to be working on Saturday. I am supposed to be relaxing and watching college football and watching my son's soccer practice, which we did this morning. And last night they passed the infrastructure bill, and people just took it and went way off the rails when it comes to the comments about politics and debt and all this other kind of stuff. I'm reading it like, I don't think y'all know how economics works, because I got a degree in economics and then I went and got a master's, and I write for national publications. I've written 2 books. I'm like, y'all don't really understand how this works and how you as an investor and a citizen can also benefit from it. So I want to break down what's in the bill. What is our national debt? Who do we owe? Is this a good thing or a bad thing? And really just go down the line of what we need to really be talking about right now. So I'm gonna try and stay calm, but I cannot let wrong information and really strange emotional arguments take you away from the money, right? And whether or not, or how this can set us up for the future. So let's go ahead and just break it down. All right, so one of the things I saw was we're taking on this debt, we're passing on this debt to our children and grandchildren, all kind of stuff. Relax, okay? So when you borrow money, right, depending on what you spend it on, it is generally considered a good thing. So for example, I took on $400,000 of debt for a home. I can pass that home to my children and they have a place to live. I could do that, right? When you are ready to buy your own home, you are more than likely going to take a mortgage. A mortgage is a loan is debt. And buying a home is considered a pretty good debt. Now it is not, $5,000 worth of Gucci belts or whatever people want to blame now. That's not really useful to take on debt for. But if it's something that can help create jobs, and it's something that we need and it's going to be around for a while, that's generally considered a good thing. So if you're borrowing money to do that, most people shouldn't have a problem with that. So I'll tell you exactly how the bill is going to be broken down. But roads and bridges, airports, high-speed internet, the electric grid, those are things we actually need and can help, one, create jobs, but two, help further progress for American companies and businesses and just the country as a whole. I don't know who would dislike that. Like, we need that. The same thing about you buying a house. If you say, hey, I'm going to borrow money or borrow some money, take a personal loan or whatever to redo my roof, that's an okay thing, right? So for infrastructure, that is an okay thing to do. Now the other question is, well, we're owing more money to such and such, and all, we're just taking all this debt and we owe other people. More than 70% of the money that is owed is to U.S. citizens, us. Okay, how does that work? When we borrow money, or when the government borrows money, they borrow in the form of bonds. They issue U.S. government bonds. When you are looking at, let's say, the money in your savings account and you get that interest, banks buy those bonds, and let's say they get 1% interest, they keep some of that interest and then you get the rest of it. Your retirement account, when you've got you got some money in the S&P 500, that's the stock market, and you got a little bit in bonds, that some of that is where that money comes from. So we all have some part of the debt and where the US government owes us money. We are the primary bond holders. We are the primary, when they say we owe money, that is us. That comes to us in interest as an investment to us. They borrow our money, use it for defense, social security, infrastructure, and other things, and we get those interest payments and we get that principal back. Who else is on there? I think the rest, that other 30% or so, that's where you get a tiny slice of Japan. They are actually the biggest country, not China, contrary to popular belief. Is Japan, then it's China, and it's all these other smaller countries. But again, 70% of that money is owed to me and you and other U.S. bond holders, which again isn't necessarily the worst thing if I'm getting a better airport out of it, if I'm getting electric charging stations, because if I'm investing in Ford or GM or Tesla, and I do own Ford and Tesla, guess who that helps, right? More charging stations means that, number one, I can get the electric Mustang I've always wanted at some point in time, but also more people will buy electric cars. That's one of the things that's holding people back from electric cars, because I don't know where I can charge them. I can't drive from here to Oklahoma, which is where my parents are, if I don't have a route I can take to go and charge my car. There are tons of gas stations, but also if the roads aren't there and the roads are terrible, I don't want to take my brand new car and do that with. However, you give me electric charging stations and you give me better roads and bridges, your boy can hit the road. That is one of the advantages of building infrastructure and spending money on things that we actually need, as opposed to, I don't know, statues or whatever else that we could have wasted money on. So that's what you need to know. Other things, when we talk about the debt and deficit, those two different things. The debt is the amount of money that we have accrued that we owe primarily to U.S. investors. The deficit, though, is different. That is the money we bring in versus the money we are spending, or really the money we're spending versus the money we bring in. This gap, that is the deficit. How is a deficit created? Two ways. Either one, spending too much money, which when you really look at it, it's Social Security, healthcare, and defense. Those are our biggest expenses. And when you're in a pandemic and you've got national security stuff, we don't really want to cut those expenses. That's where the money is really being spent: Social Security, healthcare, and defense. Y'all want to cut them? I don't think so. However, so you could say, yeah, we're spending too much, we should bring it down. But again, if we're using it for things that we need, like defense, like healthcare, like Social Security, we do need those things. Then the other way is by cutting taxes. So if you spend money, you make money, but then you say, okay, well, let's cut taxes. When you cut taxes, you reduce your own income. You're taking a pay cut as a country. So when we have cut taxes in the past, going back to the 2000s, we've cut taxes. But the other part of it is we've had to spend money. We've been forced to spend money for repairing the Great Recession, which we did get the economy back on track for. So it went up for that, right? And then we also had to spend more money for COVID relief because we really needed it, right? We had to get the economy rolling and moving because so many people were out of work. We had to get the vaccines. Like, we had to do something. We couldn't sit back and do nothing. So when you do that, Great Recession, COVID relief, and then you keep cutting taxes, or you keep taxes the exact same, that's how you get a deficit. And that deficit, that money that, from what you spent, from what you made, you take that and that adds to the national debt. That's basic numbers. So how do you fix it? Well, you cannot spend and just start cutting things left and right, which isn't necessarily the most helpful thing, because if you do that, then you're not building for the future, right? Think of it like a company, like Netflix. Prior to this year, Netflix was taking on lots and lots of debt to create content. In fact, I think they had like $15 billion worth of debts on their books because they were creating so much content. And it's expensive to do, Bridgerton and Squid Games, all this kind of stuff. However, that debt set them up to have their stock price over $650 or so today. They used the debt to build their future, which is why, again, they hit the all-time high like last week or so, and now they're cash positive. So in this case, we're using it to build things that are going to help us to grow in the future and create more jobs. Because if you're building roads and bridges, somebody's got to build it, right? And there are people who aren't necessarily in work right now that could be. There are companies that could benefit and ramp up production if you're building more roads and bridges, if you have more electric charging stations and all that kind of stuff. That's what it's for. Now, the next thing is this going to impact inflation? Probably not. Why is that? Well, it's not, $1 trillion or 1.5, whatever the number is. That's not money that's going to be spent today. Okay, that is money that's going to be spread out over a period of time, and that is how it's going to be kind of doled out. The other thing is, I got my notes here, $210 billion of this money was money that was unspent. So it's not just, we're just borrowing all the money in the world without really thinking about where the money is coming from. We had some money that was unspent. I think it was from COVID relief. And we said, okay, well, the money was already there. We've already approved it. Let's go ahead and just kind of use some of that and then fund the rest. Now, the last thing is, what is in the infrastructure bill? Because a lot of people are saying it's not infrastructure related. Let's go through and see. All right, this is from the AP, Associated Press. They just straight facts, no opinions, which is what I like. So 110 billion, all these are in billions. 110 billion Roads and bridges. You need roads and bridges. 39 billion public transit. Public transit, especially if you're in a place like New York City, is extremely important. It can help me get from point A to point B more efficiently. I can get to and from work, less traffic, which means less time spent doing nothing, creating pollution, a lot of noise. Public transit is a really, really nice thing, and also helps me to have more money to do other things. Because if I can get a $120 Metro card for the month, I don't have to make car payments, right? So that's one of the things you want to take a look at. 66 billion for freight and rail, to get goods from one place to another. We have a supply chain shortage where you've got more stuff, right, on that are in port. So we've got the goods, but to get them from the port to your house, we don't have enough infrastructure to push that through, nor do we have the workforce to do it. This is one of the things we're trying to fix. All right, 7.5 for electric vehicle and charging stations. I don't know, Tesla Ford, you might be looking at that. 65 billion for internet. You need internet. We're talking about the metaverse and where things are going to go in the future. The internet is a big part of that. We do need that, especially in places like Wyoming, South Dakota, and places that aren't necessarily high-speed hubs of information in the new economy. You want to talk about Bitcoin and all that kind of stuff. Well, you need internet for that stuff to work more efficiently. You got 65 billion to the electric grid. I don't know, ask Texas how not having a great electric grid worked for them. They've had several blackouts within the last year. Then you got airports at 25 billion. They have 55 billion for waste water and just water stuff. All those things are pretty essential and do count for infrastructure. Now you can go back and add that up. I'm pretty sure that's got to get real close to $1 trillion, but all of those things are important to build for the future. Again, the exact same way that you would borrow a lot of money for a home, and a lot of ways that you would take out a personal loan or even what do they call it, a HELOC, home equity loan to improve your backyard. So when you sell the house, it's worth more. To redo your kitchen, so when you sell the house, it's worth more. Or just fix things that you need, like a roof on a house. These are things that you need that can, one, help improve value for your home and your investment. These things help improve value for the country to create more jobs and help businesses continue to grow. Because when you borrow that money and you spend that money, some company, whether it's a local business or a large company, benefit from that. That is how it works. It's not about another politics stuff. That is fact, period. Okay, so now you know 70% of the debt, right around 70% of the debt is owed to me and you. We gonna be all right, okay? Also, it's more important to say the percentage from what we're spending in terms of the deficit. So, if you can make the payments and those payments aren't stressing you, which right now they are not stressing the country because we produce a lot of money and a lot of growth because gross domestic product, compared to the debt that we have and those payments that we're making, we're okay. It is not reaching a catastrophic level. Yes, 70 bajillion trillion dollars seems like a lot of money, but we actually bring in a lot of money too. So that is what you need to know, all right? You know where the money is going. You know how the money is supposed to be spent. You already know what companies could benefit from this. It is not a bad thing based on this, right? Now, if you told me we're going to borrow $1 trillion to, I don't know, build Mount Rushmore or something, I'm like, no, that's really dumb, right? That's not what we're doing here. So it all depends on what are you using the money for? How is the money being spent? What companies can I benefit from it? That we've already talked about. All right. That's it for me. I am going to go enjoy my Saturday by sitting in front of the TV and watching college football for the rest of the day. Don't bother me. And I'm going to watch this Netflix movie, The Western. I forget the name of it, but I'm going to watch it. I'm going to figure it out. Let me know what you think about the movie. That's the only question I'm answering. All right, that's it for me. Talk to y'all later. Bye.